Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about a very difficult conversation, but one that needs to be had. It is going to be about the situation in America with the death of George Floyd and really where we're at right now. And this is going to be a very raw, truthful conversation from my perspective. And I wanted to speak out really because as someone with a platform, even small, we need to be able to be putting in some type of effort, to be putting the word out there, to speak out against what is happening and for a better future, to help those who don't have a voice, to help those who are confused and maybe need to see it from a different perspective, to see it from that perspective. So I hope this is helpful. If you are looking though for a message of love and light, a message of love in these difficult times, or a meditation to help you get through the anxiety of it all, that is not me. And I'm not going to bullshit you and pretend like those things are helpful, because turning a blind eye to that and trying to calm ourselves down from this anxiety and trying to ignore the bad feelings that this all brings up is not helpful to our society or ourselves as a whole. So if you don't want to listen to a video where I'm very truthful about this and my own experience with racism as well, then this is not a video to watch, and I suggest turning it off instead of getting angry over somebody else's perspective. Thank you. And again, this is not an attack on any of you all. I do love you all, and I do appreciate your support, but this is a conversation that I definitely feel needs to be had as somebody with a platform. With what has been happening in America with the murder of George Floyd, and outrage that has been felt universally at the state of race relations, not just in the United States, but globally, I want to use my platform, although not large, to speak out. Anger, sadness, frustration, and disappointment are pervasive emotional responses that are completely valid right now. This anger that is being expressed through protests and riots is something that goes very deep. It is anger at the disparity between the equal treatment and respect between races that was supposed to have changed since the civil rights movement of the 1960s, almost 60 years ago now. It is anger in seeing Black people lose their lives daily due to racism, and even though many love to deny it, racism is constant and shown through microaggressions that are denied constantly through systemic white privilege. And even this term is taken with such visceral offense. Some people really do take offense that such a thing could even exist because they are uncomfortable with the reality that not only does it exist, but feeling attacked by such a word is proof that you yourself have been a part of this denial of the lack of equality that exists between white and non-white people, the denial of white privilege. This is not about your feelings. This is not about you and how you deny the experience of others who live and have lived in this fearful reality for generations upon generations. This is not about just you and your experience. People are dying. If you find that you are participating in racism that you may not see as racism, otherwise called as covert white supremacy, aka one of the aspects is color blindness. So if you say you don't see color or race at all and we shouldn't care about these things, then you need to reevaluate where you stand and why you deny such things. Innocent human beings doing human things like taking a jog, going to the store, possibly making small and very human mistakes that if they were white, they would not have died for, are dying. And it happens all the time. And this we need to change. Innocent human beings doing human things like taking a jog, going to the store, possibly making small and very human mistakes that if they were white, they would not have died for, are dying. And it happens all the time. And this we need to change. So take your anger to the streets, take it to a platform that will help this cause. Look to your communities and see what you can do to change the world for the better. And see what you can do in your own personal life, at work, in your families, in your friend groups and communities to have proactive conversations and discourse on what is happening and how we can change ourselves to help change this system around us. The system is designed to yield outcomes that are unequal, and when protesters jam up this system to pause capitalism and the sense of normalcy that accompanies Black death and say, wait a minute, people are dying, people are hurting, and there is no end in sight. So when we do that, even if it means doing some things that maybe you don't like, it actually strengthens the seriousness of this message. Not that I condone with or agree with physical violence or really everything that every person has done to get their point across, but to act like these acts of disruption are besides the point is really to miss the point. People who will dismiss the very real struggles and arguments of these protests because of property destruction are the same that aren't very inclined to support social reform in the first place. It's not right to have Black freedom struggles held hostage to white respectability politics because it has never worked. But Black freedom struggles cannot and should not control how white people are ultimately going to respond. Let us also not forget that our communities should not suffer in our efforts to better them. The stores that our neighbors and friends work at, eat at, shop at, the homes and businesses and public spaces that have been struggling throughout the COVID-19 pandemic should not be destroyed in our path of fire. Let us instead direct our anger at those that say when the looting starts, the shooting starts, and there are good people on both sides. Those in our government and law enforcement that have continually and unapologetically hurt the race relations and splintered the community of a country which is supposed to be equal for everyone, despite race, religion, and lifestyle. It is 2020. It is time to let the old world go and to reach out and up for a better one together. As someone who is half Middle Eastern and half white, growing up with a father who is not white, I experienced a great deal of really disgusting racism. I heard people yell things about my father. I heard them say horrible things, and I've watched his daily experience with racism at work drive him to quit. I had moments where I realized that other kids and even friends didn't consider me white, and that changed what they said to me, how they joked with me, and how they reacted and treated me. There was even a time where I cried to my mother and asked her why I couldn't look like her, why I couldn't have blonde hair and blue eyes, and why I couldn't have light skin. I have changed a lot since then, and I really am very proud of my heritage and who I am. My partner, Will, is half Black, and this has been a really emotionally exhausting time for him. I don't want to speak too much for him on this, as he has his own platforms on Instagram and Facebook where he has been very vocal, but this has been very heartbreaking for him. The unfair and completely unnecessary deaths of Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd recently have upset and angered him deeply, as well as myself. And for him, these times feel like watching one half of who you are pushed down and try to eradicate the other half. We are trying to do our best to speak on this and see what we can do. Giving money is helpful, yeah, signing a petition is helpful, but changing how you react and act now is what is going to help us stop murder, to stop this overgrown inequality that has pervaded our systems for too long. I wish I could end this, as most readers and metaphysical people on social media platforms do, with love, light, and maybe a meditation that will fix this. But this is a discomfort that we cannot ignore and stay silent about. Whether we want to or not, we are facing the reality of the inequality and racism that has become a pillar in not just the United States, but globally. And just because it hurts to see, because it makes you uncomfortable, does not mean we can turn a blind eye and act as if it is not happening and we can do nothing.